Hello, Olivier.
Hello, Maxim.
Would you represent yourself a little bit? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Oliv Forg. I work for Christi around 8 to 10 years now. And since a couple of years I'm involved using theater as a methodology for bringing people together, but also having critical dialogue among those people, specifically around injustices. Have a dialogue around injustices. So that's the work I'm doing now. And I'm also organizing different campaigns within the organization on different teams.
Recently you've been to the Ukraine, to Kiev.
1 year exactly from now in the meantime. So last year, February, just before the violence broke out, and a couple of days later there was the shift of presidency. Yeah.
Okay, what did you do there?
We came there at an invitation of a local group of activists who wanted. There was a first outburst of violence in Maidan in January, and they wanted to have a response on another level, a dialogue on another level, and a way of dialogue that they know, so theater. So they send out an invitation to tons of practitioners in the world, and in very short notice 5-6 of them replied, you are able to come to set up a project where we use theater as a method for dialogue, and the project was called Theater for Dialogue. So we came in with 6 people, as I said, from person from India, from the States, myself, etc., an Italian guy. And actually we came to Ukraine, and we split ourselves up in 5 different cities across the country, from the east to the west, from Donetsk to Lviv, but so also myself, I stayed in Kiev. And we organized workshops with people from the community. The community was basically people who, it was spread throughout flyers, throughout Facebook, people saying that we would have a dialogue of what's happening in the country through a theater, and so people came to this invitation.
So you visited Ukraine after Maidan?
During Maidan.
During Maidan.
Yeah.
And what kind of problems did you face with?
Well, so we
Why people need your method?
Was the method that we use is that we bring stories that the people face, problems that the people face, to a stage in which we can then discuss the problems. So the problems that were raised were very different depending on the workshop. In my workshop at that moment was the division within the families, within the friends, because of the political issues.
To divide families.
The divided families, that friendships were reshaped, like you knew these tensions were there before within the families, but because the situation wasn't tense as much, it wasn't like a discussion happening really, or you would just not talk about it. But because the situation was that heavy, of course you had to talk about it. So friendships were torn apart, families were torn apart, and we presented this on a stage. Also the challenge that a lot of people agreed that there was need for change. That was clear. I mean, all people that were part of the workshop wanted to change. That was the red line, let's say. But what does it mean? That was another discussion. What future for Ukraine do we want? And these different opinions came up. So we also presented it to the public. So, and it was an image that the future of Ukraine, which was represented by a person, was torn apart from all sides. Everybody wanted a better future, but nobody really knew which direction. And if they knew, maybe it was different directions. And last of all was also the involvement of extreme right within the change movement, let's say, how to deal with them, how to deal with the violence, that some of them brought to Maidan, to the whole movement actually, because it was also a strong part of extreme right. I saw it with my eyes on Maidan. They were there as well, let's say. So that was like the topics that came up: violence within Maidan, these families torn apart. So these were like the main topics that came up. Yeah.
Okay, a question for you as a witness of Maidan. How do you estimate it? Like a revolution of dignity, really, or what?
It was maybe to say first. It was interesting to see that a lot of people, like half of my group that I worked with, wasn't physically part of Maidan. They were mentally part of Maidan, but not physically. In a way that they were not. They also felt this need for change, but they felt like they weren't also maybe not represented in Maidan in the square as such. Maybe it was too violent. Maybe it was too aggressive, let's say. But they clearly wanted change as well. Walking around Maidan, like we went every morning before the workshop. We wanted to go there just to. I mean, this is why you're doing it, so you need to also be at the place where you work for or at. And it was amazing the how do you say, the self-organization that was happening there. There was an internet, everything was internet tent, let's say, food stands, everything was well organized. You saw a big solidarity within the whole movement as well, I thought. A lot of things were happening. There was art piece everywhere. Also, like within Maidan, you saw like people were having extra projects to see what change could be. There were posters. There were paintings being made. So it was a big dynamic. There was also the militarization, let's say, of Maidan at that moment.
It was dangerous because people from Maidan were attacked. By
because at that moment was
Berkut.
By Berkut it was the moment. Like I said, there was this first outburst of violence happened in January somewhere. So, and it was like 2-3 weeks later, and literally all Maidan was surrounded by. Like it was really like what is going to happen now? And we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen, and we completely blocked. And this figuratively completely blocked was also literally, because like all Maidan was surrounded by huge walls that they made to protect them from Berkut, especially where the violence happened. There was like several rows of defense. For instance, it was maybe. It was a television, projection screen where you could show movies, and it was there actually at the line between Berkut, who was protecting the parliament, let's say, and the part of Maidan, and sometimes they would project movies to show actually to Berkut, but like some kind of political movies that they had. They were there, like, so they showed literally like movies that they had to watch, which was I found amazing as an action. So they put it really there as like contra propaganda, like showing to Berkut. But it was very scary as well. The situation was very tense. And the day we had the performance was on Sunday. We left on Monday, I think, and Tuesday violence broke out, and Thursday or something the president switched. Yeah. So it was all very, like, when it was there it seemed like everything was blocked, and then it went suddenly extremely fast, like changed in a couple of days, everything was changed.
Could you imagine the consequences of Maidan?
At that moment, or
war will start.
No, that wasn't. No, that was No, not in that sense that what happened now, like that it would so much be an there was a division between East and West that was clear in the opinions. That, for instance, there was one of the group leaders. Let's say she is from the East. Our translator was from living in Kiev. It was from oh dear God, the island.
Crimea.
Yes, dear God, from Crimea. And so yeah, she was our translator, and 1 week later she was from another country, something like this. For her it was very, very, very weird as well. So she was completely, but I've been into contact with her afterwards, like while it was happening, and like for her it was a complete surprise what happened in a week or something, that Crimea suddenly was invaded and captured, let's say. So no, not at all. Nobody, I think, imagined what would happen in such a short time, and finally ending up in a war in the East. No, not at all.
And would you tell somewhat about your method? How how deal with opposite sides, and when politics divide families, people?
Well, what we do with the method is actually we work with a group of people, any people, doesn't matter, and we through theater we bring up stories that they are confronted with in their lives, injustices, problems that they face, and we look for a common ground within the group, like which topics are the most represented within the group. So if there are represented within the group, probably they are also represented in society.
Yeah.
So this is how we let them boil up through exercises. It's not that we have a discussion, we sit together. No, we make images, and because it's more associative. You know, like that you see an image, what does it make you think of? It's like tak, and then people say something, and it brings more the natural stories than let's talk and let's discuss and let's think what are our problems. No, we show them images, and they react to the images. What does it make you think about? And because you say stuff, it means it's in your head, although you might not say it. So this is how we work. And then we bring all these stories, all these personal stories, we put them in a mixer, let's say, and we make a new story. So that it's not a personal story that is on the stage, but a mixture of different stories that we make to a new story, although it's still respecting the individual stories. And then we show it, and it always ends bad, the story, because if it's a problem, we don't want to make theater about things that are solved. I mean, it's not very interesting. It's also not a challenge, let's say. So we make a theater piece about the problem that we face, and we actually we don't have an answer how to solve it. And then we show it to the public, and we ask the public, help us. We have a problem, we have no idea how to solve it. Let's have a collective brainstorm on possibilities. So that's what we did. We show this, and then people from the audience can come on stage and replace one of the actors and see how they would solve, if they would be in this person's place, which they know because it's their society, they know very well who are these people, they know family members or whatever, and then they try out on stage, I would do it then, and then we discuss it with the public. Another person can try, if I would be that person, how would I solve it, or how would I? So we try to have not in theory, what could you do? No, we try to do it on stage, like what can you really do when this happens in your family? If you would be the person that is losing a part of your family, if you would be that person, how would you react? Try it, and then we try and see what happens.
So the method of solving the problem is ask people from the street.
Yeah.
But why?
Because we know these problems. Everybody knows these. It's not. It's because you are performing for the community. You always perform for. We had performances from people who are facing these problems, so they know them. Maybe it's not your problem, but you know people who have this problem, or you have it yourself, maybe.
But they're not experts. No.
Everybody's an expert in
No,
who can.
they're not professionals or some kind of psychologists, maybe.
I don't know if a psychologist is healthier in his family than a normal person. I'm not sure of that. If you have a family issue, I don't know if per se a psychology will face it better in his family than, I don't know. Let's try it together and see. I think if you have you perform before 100 people, I think 100 people, the knowledge of 100 people is better than one expert, I'm sure.
Okay.
So we have a collective brainstorm and we try to see what the people, maybe some of them have talents that we don't know. Maybe they know how to deal with conflicts, and maybe not from theory but in practice. Maybe they have problems in their family, they face them, maybe they have in practice they have a solution. And so we invite them and we talk, yes, maybe this will work sometimes, maybe this will work, maybe this will work. We don't think there's fixed solutions for fixed conflicts. It's not that easy, otherwise it would be, if an expert would know the solution, it would be already done. So things are not so easy. So we try to collectively have a brainstorm, like what are the nuances, what are the subtle things we could do, and then see if this collective knowledge can bring us something together.
So it's a current process.
Yes,
process.
of course.
Searching solution.
Yes, of course, because situation changes. My opinions would be was different now. Was different then than it is now. So things change, and also people are different. I mean, it can be that if you talk to a certain person and reasoning, like literally use reason, works with a lot of people, but it doesn't work with all people. Using emotions, being emotional, with some people it will work, with others it won't. So it depends who the person is. Who are you, and who is the other person. So every conflict is in a sense unique. So that's why we're not looking for a solution. We're looking for possibilities. What are all the possibilities? What can we take out and see? If there would be one solution, if all people would be reasonable, which is not the case, there would be less conflicts. But the reality shows it's not the case. Like, we are not rational beings as such. So we have very irrational things apparently going on as well. So we look together, like, what are the dynamics? What can be like these subtle differences, these subtle solutions, subtle possibilities that we can use in this specific situations that we are now bringing to the stage. And we had like 200 people, and every there was tons of people wanted to come on stage and to express it. And sometimes it was very concrete on the situation. Sometimes somebody took the mic, and it was much more bigger politically, let's say. Like, he transformed the discussion to the big discussion, and it was 2-3 people raising yes but this, and then you bring it back, and so you have a dialogue, whatever is there with the people at that moment.
Okay. Okay. Do you know a solution of Ukrainian-Russian war conflict?
I think it's very, like I said, I think if there would be an easy solution, the solution would be there.
But would you like to organize some meeting with Poroshenko and Putin and some theater?
I think people are not, if they would like to join in a theater project, I would be more than happy to do that. Yeah. If it's purely on negotiation skills, I think other people are much more suited than myself. but if they were more than my pleasure.
What would you like to say them, these leaders, to stop war?
Yes, to be also very sensitive about the different dynamics of a conflict, of this war. There are not let's say the cause is not it's not, there's not one cause, it's multiple, it's also it's not only rational, it's also emotional, even irrational. So to take, and you can on a rational basis you can disagree with these emotional things or these irrational demands, but they are there, so you should acknowledge them and see how you can bring them also into the discussion. But get in dialogue and get in sincere dialogue with each other. That's the only thing I see.
So dialogue is possible between rational people, not
yes, it is. No,
between animals. Yes, you mean?
No, it's possible. It's possible, but you have to take it. It's an illusion that you can have a discussion on a rational basis. That's what I'm saying. Actually, there are other elements involved always, and to try to narrow it down to the purely rational, it's not. It's unrealistic. It's not reality. That's what I'm saying. Actually, the opposite.
Okay.
They want to add something. No, and try to have a dialogue within as much possible within the different parts of the community of Ukraine, and hope that they can unify within the country or have a dialogue, sincere dialogue within the country.
So dialogue is only one way, unique way to solve the conflict. Yes.
Yes, it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also with among the Ukrainians at first.
I have some ideas how to stop the war. You have you?
This would be one of the ideas, yeah. Yeah, but first there should be the hardest agreement is to stop the war first, stop the violence, like on hold, let's say. As long as there's violence, it's very hard to have a dialogue. The first step is to put it on hold. It's to stop it for now, like have a temporary peace agreement, let's say, before a real dialogue can start. That's clear.
Okay. Thank you.